This is not what it looks like. The Ministry of Truth would have you believe an outbreak involves 9-foot-tall alien bugs, a grotesque image made to drum up support, but the reality of a Terminid infestation is likely a lot worse than what is depicted here. The Terminids are a wholly unique species with a truly fascinating biology that is also spectacularly unresearched, or so would appear due to the Ministry of Science not publishing any peer-reviewed articles. With the Gloom slowly encroaching on Super-Earth, it's a good time to discuss how I believe an outbreak actually starts in the nightmare scenario of the Gloom. Canonicity Advisory. This video deals with speculation. Helldivers 2 is a live service game. The continuity is always developing, and contents discussed may be disproven or made redundant by the time you view this video. A common misconception I hear is that Terminids are bugs and that their spores are like that of traditional Earth fungi. This couldn't be further from the truth. Here's the facts. There is no biological basis for which we could compare the Terminids. Outside of the most fundamental building blocks for life, there is no similarities genetically. There is no point in which Earth life and Terminid life crossed evolutionary paths. The fundamental building blocks of life being carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, oxygen, phosphorus, and sulfur. To our understanding, these elements form the basis for a carbon-based organism. For brevity's sake, we are going to assume the Terminids are not silicon-based organisms. Those and few other essential elements are the only connection Earth life and Terminid life share. This is what I mean when I say we have no basis for which we could compare to the Terminids. They are a wholly unique species from a wholly unique planet than our own. I feel this difference in evolution is best displayed in Terminid hatcheries. If I asked you to describe a hatchery in one word, I'm willing to bet it would likely be something similar to humid, damp, gross, dank, and that would be a fair assessment as I've already asked others this question and gotten similar results. Now, this is a massive generalization, but do you know of any insects that actively lay their eggs in clusters outdoors exposed to the elements? Much less an insect hierarchy that chooses to do this. Using Earth as a test for our hypotheticals and the fact that Terminids are a burrowing species, we can generously say the Terminids have a depth range of 50 kilometers. When you have all that real estate, why are the eggs on the surface? Unless they aren't eggs, but instead spores. Spores that traveled the stars and landed on this planet. No, I'm not saying that matured spores aren't going to be taken further into the hive for processing, but I believe this is how an outbreak begins, as harmlessly as a spore landing in a warm or damp environment. What a happy coincidence it must have been for the Terminids to discover that mammalian lungs were perfect vessels for developing offspring. Unless, of course, it wasn't just a coincidence, but a product of their evolution. You can make an argument for the human immune system, but the Terminids have displayed themselves to be anything if not durable. Their spores can survive in the vacuum of space, and the mature forms can inhabit hostile worlds like Hellmire, a planet that is notorious for its irregular and hot atmosphere. Now, with all this information, we can begin to understand why human lungs may be valuable to Terminid spores and their ability to germinate. For demonstrative purposes, we are going to name our subject here Traitor. I've just exposed Traitor to a sample of the Gloom. I can say with 100% certainty that he is going to die from internal bleeding. The Terminids start small, chained by the space they inhabit. This would last only as long as they are in Traitor, which is only a few hours post-germination. The one significant factor that contributes to this that I had not mentioned previously was nutrition. This now dead man is going to become the basis from which a hive is born. With all this in mind, you can really begin to see why the full potential of the Gloom is so horrific. The planet, likely consumed whole, would be scoured of human life and likely all life with a respiratory system. This is exactly the apocalypse scenario it sounds like. And unfortunately, I cannot think of any realistic situation where we can prevent the Gloom from moving forward of its own accord. Nothing outside of repeating Meridia, demonstrated by the fact that Meridia prevented a similar galactic anomaly from going widespread. Additionally to our current date, having prevented the Gloom from pushing any further into super-Earth space. Previously, I entertained the idea of a cobalt bomb. I do not believe that would be effective for this. The cobalt bomb is meant to quarantine a hive world, not counter the Gloom. It may have prevented the Gloom had it been in the right place at the right time, but the Gloom is here and it is no longer a considerable solution to this sort of apocalyptic problem. I know it seems like we are ending on a somber note, but we are not. The brave are always committing their lives to humanity and the faint spark of civilization that is ours and ours alone, the birthright of humanity. The production of the DSS has begun, and once that is complete, he will give us the ability to conquer territories back from our enemies. Things are looking brighter than they have in a long time. Thank you if you made it this far, and a special thank you to those returning viewers and current members of the First. Without you, all of this would be in vain. The First Colonial Regiment has seen a spectacular boom in membership and attendance. That, alongside my newfound passion for video essays, you could say this is some of the most fun I've had in a while. Please consider liking and subscribing. I'm gonna keep doing these regardless, but the support really goes a long way. Thank you all again.